All right, we're out here with the 28 Nosler. We're just checking the sweet spots, see how they're shooting, and we're also testing the best factory ammo option currently available, which we think is the Nosler Trophy Grade 175 grain AccuBond long range. So we're testing that too, just to see how that groups, so we have a fair comparison between the sweet spots and the factory ammo, and see how they're shooting today, and then also get a good idea on zeros, so we're ready to stretch it out further. So start with the factory ammo and see how we do. Box velocity is 3125 and actual is 3130, so pretty good. Hey guys, Tim with Little Crow Gunworks. Welcome back to the channel. We have officially reached the fire-breathing dragon portion of this adventure. Today we are going to talk 28 Nosler and all the ins and outs that we've been experiencing with that cartridge. I don't think I'm going to go into everything that we've been dealing with, but we'll kind of scratch the surface on it. But before we do that, we'll start out by looking at the rifle and the specs and talk about all the parts that went into the build and all that, and then we'll go into how the factory ammo shot and how the initial sweet spots shot. But before we do that, as usual, I want to take a minute to say thank you to everybody that's following the series along, and to all our viewers and subscribers and supporters, and just everything's been going really well. I think how the series is being received is exceeding our initial expectations going into the project. Everybody's really happy with what we're doing. It turns out there is a tremendous thirst for the truth and good information, and it sounds like that's as hard to find as I initially thought it was, because you guys are really appreciating what we're doing here and showing your thanks in different ways. We're getting a whole bunch of new customers, people buying stuff from our web store that, you know, they never heard from us before, and they're trying to throw us a bone, and they're buying stuff from us, and to show their appreciation for what we're doing. And we're doing a bunch of different rifle builds and rebarrels for those of you guys that have found us through this video series and decided to give us the opportunity to work for you and work on your rifle. So I want to say thank you for that. Those of you that have signed on with us and had us do work for you, you know who you are. But I just want to say thank you. You guys are unbelievable. It makes it easy to keep doing these videos. So I'm glad you're appreciating them, and I'm having a lot of fun doing them. So, all right. So for the 28 Nosler, we'll start by going into look at the pictures and talk about the specs of the rifle, and then we'll start talking about the performance that we're able to wring out of this thing. And as usual, I'm sure I'll end up on a tangent or two. I don't plan any of those tangents, they just kind of happen. So hopefully you guys are finding value in them. I just launched the 280 Ackley video a couple hours ago, and it's already got over 500 views. So that one's taken off for a channel as small as ours. That's really good. So thank you guys for that. All right, I think I'll fire up the screen recording here and we'll get started. 3, 2, 1, and we're live. All right. Oh, there she is. So this rifle, you know, again, going with that theme of variety that I talked about, and just trying to show a broad spectrum of options and what we can do, just because so many people are visual learners and need to be able to see something to kind of wrap their brain around it. So we wanted to show a variety of things, and this is kind of like what I would call like a hybrid rifle. It's not a full-on modern rifle. It's kind of a hybrid. So the stock, since we always start with the stock, we'll start there. But just, I guess what I would say briefly is that the stock is kind of traditional. I mean, it's fiberglass, but it's designed to resemble like a laminate wood stock. The color pattern they nickname McWoody, and it's a sporter style, with the steep angled toe on the bottom of the buttstock, and then a little bit of a Monte Carlo style raised cheek riser, but then it's got kind of a modern vertical, thicker pistol type grip, but it's not your typical fiberglass colors. It kind of looks like, again, like a wood laminate stock. And then we match that with the carbon fiber barrel, so it's kind of like a hybrid. It's not full-on traditional, but it's not full-on modern either. So the stock is a Macmillan A3 Sporter in that McWoody color. Swivel studs front and back. This one, I think it has a standard BDL bottom metal. It might be M5 Obendorf. I don't recall. Dale didn't, consult with me on this when he built it. He just built it, and I was kind of trying to play catch up. So, but anyway, it's a hinged floor plate with spring and follower magazine. Holds 3 in the magazine. You can push 3 down and then get 1 in the chamber, so you can run 4 at a time. Barrel is free floated. I didn't mention this, but I think I did maybe once. All of our rifles are glass bedded. I don't mention that when we're talking about it, but Dale glass beds all of them, unless it's a chassis gun, like a competition gun that you'd put in a big heavy chassis. If it's a gun like this, we want to bed it, just to eliminate variables and make sure everything's nice and secure and not shifting around, and it makes it easier to have a nice consistent free floated barrel channel. So if you do torque something, the barrel's not bumping or making contact with that barrel channel. So I think that's really it for the stock. Like I said, more traditional, swivel studs front and back, no adjustable cheek riser. These stocks are really lightweight, these A3 Sporters. They're fiberglass, but they're really light. And then the action is our our standard, which is a Zermatt Arms Origin, like the 7PRC, which is our go-to action. As I talked about in other videos, there's a lot of companies that make great actions. We like this one. Guns just go together really well. And being that Zermatt Origin, I suppose I can click through some of the pictures here. That is, man, that's a good looking rifle. A control round feed action and a spring and follower magazine. For those of you that haven't used that type of rifle before, this thing feeds unbelievably smooth. Feeds like God made it. Just when you're picking up a round out of the magazine, it's difficult to tell whether you picked up a round or not, because it feels the same whether you're picking up a round or you're just running the bolt on an empty gun. Like, it's that smooth. So we really like how that turned out. So if you guys are looking at doing a rifle like this and you're thinking if you're more traditional and you don't want a detachable magazine, you want a spring and follower, we got that figured out. These things feed unbelievably well. And then went with our extended spiral bolt handle like we always do. And then this one, he selected a TriggerTech Special with a curved traditional stainless shoe on the trigger. That's what he wanted. This rifle he built for himself for his elk hunt last year. And Dale's, we work great together because he's a little more traditional than I am, and he's been building guns since like early to mid 80s, so he's got tons of experience, and I'm a bit younger, and we have very similar lines of thinking and ethics and values and ways of going about stuff, but it just helps that we have a little bit different perspective, and his expertise is different than mine, so we work out great together. But he sometimes select things a little different than I do, which is good, so we get to show you guys some variety. So those Trigger Tech specials are adjustable from, I think, 1 to 3 pounds, somewhere in that neighborhood. This one's set at like 1.5 pounds, nice crisp trigger weight for a hunting rifle. I wouldn't really want to go much under that unless you're a really experienced shooter. Once you get under 1.5, like if you're used to factory triggers, which are horrible, number one, but they're often like, not Tikkas, but other factory triggers are often like 3 to 7 pounds. So if you're used to that and you go to a trigger like this, 1 pound is going to feel like it's not even there. So even 1.5 is going to feel really light for you. So 1.5 is about as light as I like to see on a hunting rifle. I personally set all mine at 2 because I find at 2, with gloves on, even if my fingers are a little bit numb, I can still feel that I'm on the trigger without setting it off when it's at 2 pounds. If you got that numbness and you get down around 1.5 pounds or 1 pound, you can't tell it's there and you set it off, which is useless. So at a good pull weight, these Trigger Techs are great triggers, nice and crisp and consistent. What else? The base, again, these Origin Actions come with a standard 20 MOA canted base. And then the optic he chose was an optic that he's had for a while, and he likes to use it on different hunting rifles. Dale's a big proponent of, an advocate of using Night Force optics on hunts because of like what I've said in previous videos, like shit happens and Night Forces are very durable. So it's not that he feels that you have to have, a tactical or that type of optic on a hunting rifle. It's that each one is like torture tested and they make really durable scopes. And the way he looks at it is, he's like, I don't want to spend thousands of dollars, look forward to a hunt for however long and get there and have the thing break. Where Night Force warranties everything, but he doesn't want to look at it like banking on the warranty like some people do. I don't want to take many shots at Vortex. They make good stuff too, but that's what you hear about a lot of the lower end Vortex scopes, where that's what you always hear people say. It's like, wow, the warranty. It's like, yeah, well, if you're on one of these hunts and the thing breaks, that warranty is pretty useless. So, again, he's a big advocate of using these just because they're so durable. This happens to be the NXS 3.5 to 15 by 50. This one happens to be in mil radian, and he elected to not put a level on it. Again, he's more old school. He's been shooting long range for a very long time and doesn't use levels, and he does just fine. So, and then these rings he had that worked out good for height are Vortex PMR rings. They're top end rings. Excuse me. And then the barrel, we went with, same as the 7PRC. That is a 26-inch proof Sendero 8 twist, which the Senderos, again, finish at about .915 to 930 at the muzzle. And the muzzle brake, we are sticking with MBM. This is a CF Beast 2 5-port. We elected to go with a 5 just because of the size of this cartridge. Get as much recoil reduction as we possibly could. I don't think it would make a mountain of difference if you went down to a 4 or a 3-port. Obviously it's going to reduce recoil a little bit less, but I think it'd be pretty nominal. I think you could get away with any of the 3-port, 4-port, or 5-port, especially because they're so big around. That 930 diameter, you get a lot of surface area here for the gas to catch and help reduce that recoil. I think this one is in stainless. As I mentioned before, the titanium would be about 1.5 ounces lighter, but they're about another $100, $110 over the stainless. What else? I think that's about it. I just have it hooked to my little Harris 6-9 bipod to help keep it upright. When I do shoot this gun with a Harris, same with the 7 mag, I shoot that with a Harris as well. If there's anything else I think of, I'll come back to this one. But then let's go into how it's shot. So this thing, as we saw from the initial velocity data, when we shot the initial 10 shot, 8 to 10 shot ladder tests, this thing's a rocket ship. It's just, the velocity we're getting out of this thing is incredible. But that comes at a cost. And we're going to talk about that thoroughly throughout the series. I've kind of tiptoed around it and haven't really talked about it, but these race cars, they're fussy and they need maintenance. So let's start with the factory ammo and how that shot. There are a few good factory ammo options for this cartridge. We did test initially, before we decided we were going to do a video series, we did run some of the Federal 155 terminal ascent through this gun, and that shot really good. And I think Dale has some more of that, so I might add that into the series here at some point. But I think that was averaging 155 grain bullet. I think that was averaging around like 3250, and it was shooting under an inch. I mean, it was just like all that terminal ascent ammo, around an inch, fast, consistent, just good stuff. But what we selected to test for the series was the Nosler 175 grain AccuBond long range, which is another great bullet. It's kind of a hybrid, you know. Oh boy, here comes a tangent. So in this series, we haven't really talked about bonded bullets, and there's a reason for that. My personal feeling, this is jumping ahead a little bit, but my personal feeling is that in the long run, bonded bullets are going away. Like Hornady doesn't even make them anymore. They used to. They used to have the Interbond, which was a great bullet, but they already gave up on it. And I don't think they'll be the last company to give up on it. And I think the reasons are, while bonded bullets are good, they kill stuff. They're kind of too similar to a lead core bullet. Like they're, in my opinion, they're more similar to a lead core bullet, a traditional non-bonded lead core bullet, like a ELDX or something like that, than they are a mono. And the reason I say that is, I can tell some of you are jumping out of your chair right now, like, oh no, they're bonded, and you know the weight retention's way better, and on and on. Yes, I know that. They retain the weight a lot better. But if you remember in the terminal performance video, I think it was number 2, part 2, when we talked about this, we talked about weight retention and also bullet expansion and how much the bullet expands relative to its initial diameter. And of the driving forces, you know, of what's important in that terminal sectional density number, like what keeps that number high, which is what you want. So what keeps that terminal sectional density number high is the expansion, not the weight retention. Of the driving factors, you know, the weight retention is important, but it's way less important than the expansion. And bonded bullets traditionally expand just as much as non-bonded lead core bullets. You know, the bonding process doesn't make them hold tighter together. It just keeps the lead from washing away. So your terminal sectional density ends up being very close to what the traditional lead core bullets are. So you are gaining because they hold their weight better, but the terminal effect isn't much different. And I'm not an engineer. I don't make these things, but from what I understand, bonded bullets cost a lot of money to make. And whether it's chemical bonding, where they mix, I don't know if they mix something in with the lead or they coat the inside of the copper cup before they swage the lead in there to chemically bond it, or I know like Nosler, they basically weld it, like they run a flux through the jacket and essentially weld the core to the jacket. However you do it, I think it's expensive, it's inconsistent, it's hard to get match grade accuracy out of bonded bullets for that reason, because they're inconsistent internally. I mean, on the outside they all look the same, but internally is what matters. You know, and if you look online about these, I call them long range AccuBonds, but the AccuBond long range bullets, almost everywhere you look, people talk about them being fussy and how they're hard to make shoot and whatever else. And that's why. And I've spent a lot of time doing low development with these bullets for a 300 Win Mag with 210 long range AccuBonds. And it was a pain in the ass. And I got it to shoot unbelievably well, but I probably had 250 rounds of load development before I found something that met my expectations. So, and these things are like impossible to find anyway. They're like the hardest bullet to find to any of the AccuBond long ranges for hand loading. Not in ammo form, but to hand load, forget it. And if you're going to pick a bonded bullet, I think they're the best one, you know. If we're talking hit probability and whatever, like, because we do, like I said, part one, ballistic coefficient isn't everything, but it is important. So we don't want to just throw that to the side. We care about that, and these AccuBond long ranges have unbelievably high BC, but they're fussy and they're hard to find, and they're more expensive than anything else, like any other bullet. So you got to pay all those prices just to use them, and then at the end of the day, the terminal result is very similar to a traditional lead core bullet because they expand too much. You know, they expand to like triple diameter, which just kills your terminal sectional density score. So they're good bullets. This is why I haven't touched the issue, because I didn't want to start a big spat about that. Like, they kill stuff. They're good bullets, but I think monos are better. And I personally believe at some point bonded bullets will be going away. You know, maybe Nosler will cling on to them forever because they make the most of them, let's say. But Hornady already gave them up. Sierra never made them. Barnes never made them. Like, you know, there's a few other companies that make them. I think Norma makes their Bond Strike. That's a great bullet, but again, same thing, bonded. Who knows how long they'll hang on to it. There's a few others. You know, I think the Scirocco is bonded. You know, there's a couple other ones, but anyway, tangent number one. So, how did this shoot? First group, Nosler 175 grain long range AccuBond. You see my point of aim is a little bullseye, which I don't really like shooting at, but I shot this in the winter, and these little bullseyes stick to the cardboard better than those Avery labels. So that's what I had to use. And this one, if you remember, the box velocity was like 31.25, I think, and this group averaged 31.28, SD of 4.1, ES of 10, and shot 1 5/8 group. And if you look at this group, that's kind of like, you'll see, but that's kind of like the story of this rifle. You pound two together and throw one, and it's always in that order. Too tight, and then it throws one. And it almost doesn't seem to matter how much time I leave between the shots. I think it's a heat issue, but again, we'll get into it more. Not great, not horrible. Velocity metrics are great. Velocity's great. That's like 3,800 pounds of muzzle energy. Pretty serious business, but group's just okay. You know, that pair is probably like a 1/2 inch, and then got one that threw out over 1 inch away. Second group, shot it on the same day, 3108. And I think this included the cold bore, which is probably why that average is a little lower and the ES is higher. Standard deviation 10.7, extreme spread at 26, and shot 1 1/4. Same thing. 1, 2, and through 1. And these I didn't shoot round robin. I did shoot them in order. And then I think I actually shot this group first. Yeah, because it had the cold bore. And then I set the gun aside, shot other stuff, and then came back to it. And it did the same thing. 2 together and then through 1. Not a match gun. And then the third one I shot much later, months later, because I've been messing with this gun sporadically as I have time. So the average velocity was higher because it was a little warmer, not much higher, and it was considerably warmer, so whatever powder they're using is temperature stable because it's hardly migrating. 3139 average, standard deviation 7.4, extreme spread at 18, really good metrics again. And this one shot a little better, 911, but same thing. Pounded 2, overlapping, and then threw 1 out. You know, so like, is that the end of the world? No. For your group metrics, does it look bad? Yes. This is a hunting rifle. You should be getting it done in 2 shots anyway. So, do I like looking at things that way? No, but I'm a realist at the same time. So that's why I said early on, like Hornady talking about their giant sample sizes, and you got to shoot, you know, whatever, 20 or 30 rounds to get your group size, your whatever, your rifle precision, your MOA, whatever you want to say. I don't think that's very relevant for this, for hunting rifles. It's just, who the hell's shooting 30 rounds at an animal? Nobody. So you can't tell me that heat doesn't start to influence the gun. I know better, you know. It'd be one thing if you took a shot like every 5 to 10 minutes and did a 30 shot group, but then you're introducing, you know, the cold shooter factor. Like it takes a little bit for us to get comfortable behind the gun and start performing at our best level. And if you're coming in cold every 5 to 10 minutes, that's going to skew the data too. So like, it's just, anyway, I'm getting off track. And then the sweet spots, we had 1 with H1000, 2 with Rotumbo, a slow and a fast, and then slower, or I should say fast and faster, and then N565, same thing. We had a fast and a faster. And again, this testing was a little more sloppy because it was before I knew we were going to do a series, and I was just trying to get it done. So you'll see some erratic stuff in here, but I'll explain what it is. H1000 160 grain CX, average 3307, just frickin' smoking. Now it's around 300 feet a second more than the 7PRC, where that's happy. Maybe a little under that, 270 or something. 7 rem mag, it's 200 feet a second or so faster, and about 400 feet a second over where the 280 Ackley's happy. It's a rocket ship. Standard deviation 13, extreme spread of 29, and it shot a 1.349. Nothing special, but again, 2 together and then a through 1. And this is how it shot these. It just, the first 2, I'm like, yes. And then I shoot the third one and it throws it an inch. I'm like, okay. False alarm. You know, is that the end of the world? Can you still kill stuff with something that shoots a 1.3 inch group? Yeah, you can. No problem. Especially because your first 2 shots are reliable. But it's not a match gun. Not made for volume. Number 2, these were I shot after. This was something else I brought with. And this, on this H1000 group, this shot that I crossed off, I accidentally shot one of the Rotumbos there, which was this shot. So that's why my little Sharpie's there. This group was all vertical, which I don't like to see. Sometimes groups like that can still shoot good at distance, but not typically. Rotumbo sweet spot number 1, average 3261. Standard deviation 12.1, extreme spread at 29, and just under 1.25 inches. All vertical. Not bad, not great. Second one. There, we're getting somewhere. Same thing. 2 with 1 out. Just not as far. Average 3309. What was H1000? 3307. Standard deviation 6.7, extreme spread at 16, shot of 533. Very, very respectable. Spam. And then N565, 3245 average, standard deviation 5, extreme spread of 11. The group was 1.838. Velocity metrics are great. Straying vertically. 2 together, 1 out. Noticing the trend yet? This gun has given me more aggravation than the other 3 combined. I can't tell already. Second sweet spot, 3316, smoking. Standard deviation 7.1, extreme spread of 16. Still really good velocity metrics. 1.5 group. This was kind of scattered. Just not happy about something. And this initial testing I shot at a given seating depth, and then I subsequently only pursued this Rotumbo load, and I decided to do a seating depth test just to make sure that that's where it was happy and there wasn't a better option. I'll go into that in the next video, but this is the one that I ended up, I guess we can kind of talk about this now. So this is the one that I ended up pursuing. Did a seating depth test and found a seating depth that I like better. Shot that. It shot unbelievably good, which is what I used for the initial intro video, where I had the picture of the target with the 4 cartridges, and there was a cold bore shot, and then 3 more shots, and then 3 more shots down here. That's how I was shooting back in February, just lights out. Then it got warm, and this load fell apart completely. I could maybe sometimes get it to do 2-in-1. Sometimes I could, sometimes I couldn't. Sometimes it would just be a dumpster fire. Like, I guess it's time to get into this. So, with these big fire-breathing dragons, this is something you have to be prepared to tolerate and deal with. Now, I'm not convinced at this point in time. It's July 12th. I've been messing with this gun for 8 months. I'm not convinced that it's the cartridge. Right now, the best theory I have is that it's this cartridge combined with a carbon fiber barrel. Now, there's plenty of companies that make rifles with carbon fiber barrels with this cartridge. I don't know how they shoot, but what I can tell you is my elk cartridge is also a 7mm. I've mentioned it a couple times. I have a 300 Norma Magnum neck down to 7mm and improved. So it's a 7-300 Norma improved. And I'm shooting this 160 CX, and I'm shooting at 200 feet a second faster than this 28 Nosler. I'm at 3,500 feet a second. But I have same type of setup, AG, not this same type of setup as this, but as a 7PRC. Looks like 7PRC. It's adjustable chalk branch, same color as a 7PRC, but I elected to use a heavy Palma steel barrel. So the gun's like 13 pounds flat. Oh, that's something I didn't mention about this gun, so we'll go back to that. But my gun's like 13 pounds flat. This one's 10 pounds, 6.5 ounces, I think. 10 pounds, 7.5 ounces. Mine's 13, has a 30-inch barrel, and I'm putting 200 feet a second. Accurate. It shoots accurately at 3,500 feet a second. I had it up to 3,670, almost 3,700 feet a second, but it didn't want to shoot up there. I had to bring it all the way down to 35 to get it to shoot. I had less problems with that gun than this gun. So, right now, Dale and I have talked about this. I don't know how many hours we've spent talking about this gun. But right now, our theory is that I don't know if the carbon fiber is like insulating the barrel. They say it conducts heat. I can't believe it. I don't know if it's insulating the barrel and that's what's causing the two together, one out business. If I allow a ton of time between shots, it seems to go away. So that's what makes me think it's a heat issue. But you know, these carbon fiber barrels are supposed to be super stiff and on. You know, they can shoot really well. But when you get a cartridge with this much performance, I don't know that it's the best choice. You know, it's putting two together tight. You can see that. So like if that's all you care about and that's what you want, fine. But I guess personal example, I talked about putting my big stupid cartridge in my 7300 Norma Improved. I talked to Mark at Bartline about putting it in one of their carbon fiber barrels, and he just started laughing. He's like, absolutely not. This guy forgot more about barrels than most people will ever know. He's a competition Ventura shooter, like he's been in the business forever. He started laughing when I said that to him. He's like, these things are not designed to handle that type of a cartridge. So, the 28 Nosler are smaller, but not a lot. You know, this water capacity is whatever it was, almost 100 grains, 99 something. Mine's like 108 or 110 or whatever the number is. Like it's bigger, but it's not that much bigger. I'm getting a lot of my added velocity from 4 inches more barrel. So, yeah, I guess that's the best way I can say it. Mark just started laughing. He's like, these things, he said, I don't know about anybody else's, he said, but our barrels are not designed for that kind of a cartridge. Our carbon fiber barrels. So, that's our best theory right now. The thing's really consistent for 2 shots, and then who knows what's happening on the third one. Factory ammo, hand loads, doesn't seem to matter. It's just not a match gun. It's a hunting rifle. So we have to take that for what it is and try to do the best we can and to work with it. But just know that, you know, as you see this gun in the series, there's going to be a saga and baggage attached to it, because it's at some point between 7 PRC and 28 Nosler is where the problem is. The 7 PRC is not like this. It just shoots. This one, it'll shoot a tight pair, you know, 100 thousandths overlapping, whatever, like super tight. But then the third one, who knows? So that was a little long-winded, but I wanted to kind of prep you guys for that. And you know, Dale and I talked about this, and we said at the beginning of the series, no matter what, we are telling you guys the truth. We're not going to hide anything. We're not going to pretend like we have an issue and then pretend like it's not happening. Like, you guys are going to know everything, because that's what you're not getting from everybody else. You're getting smoke blown straight up your ass, and from most sources. Not all of them. There's some good guys out there that are doing the right thing and telling the truth and telling it like it is, but we're not interested in hiding anything. So just know that this thing's got incredible performance, but it's a pain in the ass. So you're gonna see that. I think that's all I have for this one. Like I mentioned, this gun, I didn't say it when we were looking at the gun, but this gun's 10 pounds, 7.5 ounces, so decent medium weight. You could maybe lose a little with that Night Force if you picked something else like a loop-holed, you know, VX5 or VX6. Those are like the lightest hunting scopes that still have an elevation turret you can dial. And they're like in the low 20 ounces. So that's, you could save a little weight there, but even with the carbon fiber barrel and no detachable magazine or whatever, this gun's still going to be over 10 pounds. So good weight. With that big muzzle brake, it is very manageable. I think it'd be more manageable in a AG Composites chalk branch. I think I might actually test it in one of those, because we have a stock that I can drop this barreled action into. So I might try that and see if that helps with its issue, but I'm not holding my breath. I think it's the barrel to cartridge relationship, especially after what Mark told me. And you know, Dale had the same kind of theory, and like he and I are on the same page on this gun, and Mark just kind of reaffirmed what I was already thinking, or what we were already thinking. So that's all I got for this one. Hope you guys are enjoying the 280 video. Comments are a little light so far. You guys get on that. But if there's anything else that I missed that you want to know, leave it down in the comments. You guys know I'm all over that, trying to answer everybody as best I can. But next we're going to do that technical video. If you guys have not commented on that over in the community tab on what you want me to do next, or if this is the first you're hearing of it, next I'm going to break up these gun videos and do another technical video like the first 3 were. And I'm not necessarily looking for topic ideas. I think I know what I want to do it on, but if somebody's got a really good idea that trumps mine, I'll do that. Or if there's a combination of smaller things that I can cover a whole bunch of subjects in a video, I'll do that. Right now, I think the front runner would be, there's a comment by a guy that I'm mentoring, a young guy that I'm mentoring in long range shooting. His name's Aaron Anderson. Right now he's the front runner with his comment, what he's looking for. And that's pretty much what I was going to do the video on anyway before. He didn't know that, but he happened to comment exactly what I was thinking about doing it on anyhow. So if you haven't commented on it, get over there and let me know, or let me know in the comments of this video what you'd like me to do a technical video on. And then after that technical video, we'll go into more videos on these individual rifles and how the subsequent group testing went, and what changes we made or what we pursued and how that shook out. And then after those, we will be stretching these babies out to see how they do at long range. And then I'm not sure where we're going to go after that. We might decide to do seating depth on all the guns. We might not. I guess it'll kind of depend on a lot of things, but one thing is you guys and your support and participation and how this series is resonating with people. But anyway, that's enough rambling for a Friday. You guys have a great weekend, and I'll see you on the next one. Thanks.